The very famous Dunning-Kruger effect. Very simplified explanation, but basically the Dunning-Kruger effect is when people with little knowledge think they know a lot, while experts sort of doubt themselves because, well, they understand how complex a concept, a topic, a theme, a discipline's a subject is, right? So here's check out this graphic, right? But basically, the stages of this effect are, and this is very important if you're an educator, a trainer, a learning scientist, or researcher, professor. But basically, the stages start in this way, right? One is the mount, la montaña, right? This is when beginners feel overconfident, right? They know a lot, yeah, right? The second part is the valley of despair, and this is where people acquire much more knowledge. Right? We read more, we research more, we hear more, we observe more, we listen more, and then this makes us realize that we don't know much, right? Ask any doctoral candidate or student, they will tell you this at all. And then, of course, there's the slope of enlightenment, right? And this is pretty interesting, one of my favorites, because learning continues, right? We listen to podcasts, we read books, we attend lectures, we listen deeply, we know, and so on, right? And our confidence grows steadily. This is pretty good. It happens to many of us. Ask anyone who is 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, and they can tell you their learning journey and so on. And then, of course, there's the famous plateau of sustainability. The reason why this is also one of my favorites is because we become skilled and we become realistically, very important, confident in this, because we already walked through all this journey, right? And this is important. So I really like this graphic because as trainers, as educators, as learning scientists, as researchers, right, we have to think about this, specifically those who work with professional learning, with postgrad students, with grad students, with students with K to 12, right? So, and just context, in 1999, the psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger, right, they studied how people overestimate their abilities, right? And right, it doesn't take psychologists to study this, but we already know, right? Sometimes when we feel that we know a lot, and then the more we read, we realize that we don't know much about that specific subject, topic, discipline, and so on. So, but they basically were inspired by a person who was trying to rob a bank, thinking that lemon juice will make him invisible to the camera. Something like that. That's the story. It's a pretty funny story how he started. So imagine this. If you don't know much about that discipline, practice, subject, and so on, of course, there's the level of confidence that comes with it, right? Now, and why is this important, right? Because one, it helps you, as I mentioned before, educator, teacher, trainer, coach, a researcher, or simply an architect of learning, right? I work a lot in that field, so that's my audience. That's who I work with, right? It helps you in a practical sense because you understand when students overestimate themselves, or why. Sorry, not when, but why. Also, it gives you a framework, a reference, a language structure in to understand, specifically if you work with employees, right? To specifically in training, learning and development, and so on. To think about, to observe, to analyze where training is needed, right? And then, of course, we can get into the realm of politics, social media, and all of it, right? Because we can explain why people hold specific confidence about knowledge, but sometimes, and it might be very strong, right? But sometimes the opinions are incorrect. And this is very important. And the last part that I will say is in science and critical thinking is very important because one, it really encourages that intellectual humility, right? And also it increases that open-mindedness, right? Because we don't know everything. even if we spend years and hundreds of years and so on about this, we don't know everything. So that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope that this helps you, or at least it's part of your toolkit. Bye. Follow for more. Subscribe.